Hello, and thank you for joining us for our webinar, 6 Activities to Improve Your Success Working from Home. Our presenter today is Marcy Bach-Eastley, who is a consultant here at CPS HR Consulting. Today's session is being recorded, and we will post the slide deck and link to the session on the webinars page of our website as soon as they're available. Please check for these resources at www.cpshr.us/about/events/webinars. To ensure a high-quality recording, all attendees are in listen-only mode. Please be sure to keep your line muted to avoid interruptions to the presentation. If you have questions for the presenter, please enter them in the webinar Q&A panel on the right side of your screen. We will address those questions at the end of the presentation as time allows. And now, let's get started. Marcy?
Thanks, Julie. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy that you're able to join us today for 6 activities to improve your success working from home. So you are at home. Working from home now is likely challenging and a bit overwhelming. Trying to adapt and transition to a new way of working is really difficult. You were successful working in your office, and now you want to make sure that you're successful in your new working world. What I'm sharing with you today is the voice of experience. I've actually been working at home for more than 15 years, sometimes full-time, meaning every day of the week, sometimes and occasionally just a few days here or there. I have worked remotely, both as an employee as well as a manager. And so what I'm going to be doing today is sharing what I've learned over the years in my time working from home. What I'm hoping is that you can benefit from all of my years of trial and error and iterating on things that work. Because I've worked with other people working remotely, I've also had the benefit of learning from their experiences and incorporating them into what I found works successfully. My goal today is to give you some ideas and some suggestions so that you can use as I'm presenting, hopefully so that they prompt some new ideas of your own. Where I wanted to start was really just with an understanding of the situation. It's not a means, don't bleak picture or not at all increase anxiety, but I really think it's helpful to understand the new things that you need to consider and think about when you're managing how you're going to be working. So as I said, you are at home. There are likely many more things happening in your home than what was happening in your workplace, and certainly different things that weren't normally happening in your workplace are now suddenly happening there. There are probably new demands on you, and there's a lot of overlap of home and work that you've never experienced before because work is now located in your home. You know, you used to have this separation and this ability to focus on your work when you were at work by being at work. And now you have more things that you need to consider when you're trying to be successful at work. You also have found that your tasks may have changed. So working from home means a completely different way of working. You might have new things to do because there's not other people around you. You know, you may have had things that you didn't need to do when you were in the office because somebody else did that, but now you're located alone in your house, so you might need to do those things. I would imagine that you definitely have more scheduled things because not being in the office means that there are less things that happen in our workday that are organic. For example, we don't any longer have that opportunity to come across people in the hallway, starting hallway conversations or checking in on things with people that we see as we're walking past them on our way to get coffee. We don't have the ability to just go into someone's cubicle or knock on someone's door to ask a question. So all of those things that used to be those sort of organic things that just happened when we were in the workplace, we now have to have those be scheduled things. So we're all ending up with a lot more scheduled things going on. You probably also have to navigate working in new ways. So doing new things that you haven't had to do before, or doing old things doing in completely new ways. And all these changes are a lot to consider and a lot to manage as you're conducting your work. Well, what I'd like to do today is give you 6 activities that I might find helpful to enable you to adapt to your new working situation and transition to that overlap of work and home. So let's get started. So number 1, suggest daily schedule. It's important to have a routine and some type of schedule when you are working from home. You also need to be balancing not just work, but work and home stuff together. There's no getting around the fact or pretending like it's not happening, but your work is now in your home. So one of the first things that I suggest is that you schedule a set starting and ending time for your work. This may be the same starting and ending time that you were using in your office, or it may have to be different because we're in different circumstances. Regardless, you should always have a set start time and a set end time for your workday, and stick to that schedule. Beyond just the starting and end time, however, you should also make sure that you're scheduling time for those things that you did in the office. Things like taking lunch, taking coffee breaks. Make sure that you schedule those breaks and that you adhere to them. When working from home, it often seems, at least for me, that it's so much easier for time to just get away from me and for my days to stretch out longer and longer. So you might find that having a set start time and starting work at that time is super easy, but ending at a set end time is challenging. One of the ways to be successful is really to schedule that time and stick to it. With all of the extra or different work that you have to do now that you're working from home, it's also easier to really feel overwhelmed by how much you have to do. So this idea of a daily schedule and making a daily to-do list can really help you get a better understanding of what you need to do, how you need to prioritize your work, and how you can minimize some of these feelings of being overwhelmed. What I like to do when I'm schedule is I usually keep a running to-do list. So when something comes up during the day, whether it be work or home, I will just add it to my running to-do list. Then each morning before I start working, or really the first task of my workday, is I pull up my running to-do list and I prioritize and identify the things that I'm going to work on that particular day. Those are the things I do, and I don't worry about anything else on that list. So I keep this daily schedule and I try to balance it between my work responsibilities and my home responsibilities. Number 2, I suggest using technology to manage your work. 2 of the things that I like to use most predominantly are my technology-based calendar and then my technology-based task list. So with technology, I can actually use the task lists that are built into my calendar. So like Microsoft Outlook, Google Calendar has them. I basically take that daily to-do list and I assign tasks to myself in my task list. So that is one piece of technology I use. Another thing I do is I actually use my calendar to schedule time to get work done. So remember, we talked about the fact that you are likely going to have more meetings now that you're working at home. You're probably wondering, when in the world am I going to get all this work done? So what I like to do is to schedule meetings with myself. I schedule meetings on my calendar, and I schedule them for specific things, so specific things I need to get to. So I will schedule a meeting on my calendar. Let's say I need to write a document. I will actually make an appointment on my calendar with just myself to write that document. And then I make sure that when that meeting comes up, I use that time to actually write the document. When I use my calendar and my technology-based task tools, what that also enables me to do is to get technology reminders. So you can set up your calendar and your tasks to give you reminders 15 minutes before, or any setting of time before that meeting or task is due. And for me, those reminders are my best friends. I use them to manage the various things I need to do. They notify me and they help to keep me on track. Number 3, to be successful working from home, is to stay connected in your workplace. This includes staying connected with your organization, with your team, with other individuals that you work with. It's really easy to feel disconnected from what is happening in your workplace when you're not physically there anymore. So by staying connected in some way, it can make you continue to feel a part of your organization. It can make you feel like you are still aware of what's happening in your workplace. And more importantly, it can help to minimize those feelings of isolation. We've been practicing social distancing for a few weeks now, and depending on your living situation, being at home can feel quite isolating. So staying connected with your workplace can really help you feel less isolated, less alone, help you feel motivated and engaged in your work. So one of the things you need to do in order to be successful is to both and actually implement yourself formal means of connecting with people. And yes, I understand. I just sat here and talked about how many more meetings you have, and now I'm suggesting that you have more. But I think even if it means more meetings and things on your calendar, connecting is really important. Outside of looking for ways to connect for work-related reasons, you should also be looking for non-work-related ways to connect. So one of my suggestions is to use those same technologies that you're using to connect for business purposes to also connect for things that you used to enjoy doing when you were physically in the office. So for example, you can use video conferencing technology to have lunch with the people you used to have lunch with when you were in the office. Simply set up that video call during your lunchtime, everyone grab your lunch and you are able to have lunch together virtually and still connect. If you do team celebrations, still do those team celebrations. Just use technology to do them. But it's really important to stay connected with your workplace and with the people in it. Number 4, setting expectations. There are so many things that may be different and changing in the way that you need to work, that in order to be successful, you need to talk to the people that are part of all of these different changes, or the people that are influenced by them, and set expectations. So this means setting expectations with everybody, with your family. I have to set expectations with my fur babies. Set expectations with your coworkers, with your manager. Make sure you set expectations. You possibly have other humans and fur babies located in your workspace. So it's important to set expectations with them about where you're working, when you're working, and what it means when you're working. So, you should be designating a space in your home that is your workspace. And maybe it's normally your living space that needs to be used as your workspace during your workday. You need to set expectations with others in your home that during your working hours, this is where you work. You should be setting expectations with them about what it means when you're at work in terms of interruptions or no interruptions. And what times you're going to be taking breaks from your work. You also need to be setting expectations with your manager and with your coworkers. So with the situations that we're all in, your hours may need to change, or they may be different than what they used to be when you were in the office. You may need more flexibility with children being home from school, with others to care for, with whatever the situation may be. You may have different working hours than what you had in your office. What you need to do is you need to be setting expectations with people about when you're available and how you can be contacted. a lot of organizations use chat tools. So through Microsoft Teams or Skype or Slack or something like that. All of these tools enable you to indicate when you're available and when you're not. So setting expectations about your availability can really be twofold. First is letting people know when you're available, and second is using these tools to indicate your availability. So you can indicate in these tools when you're available, when you're on calls, when you've stepped away. But you should also let people know, if you don't happen to be online, how and when you can be contacted. And then I think another part about setting expectations is to really think about setting realistic expectations about when you can get your work completed. Again, things change. So maybe when you're working has shifted a bit. You need to make sure that you are talking with people at work and setting expectations about what you can realistically get done and by when. I find that much of our success can come from simply setting realistic expectations and then delivering on them. Number 5, celebrate accomplishments, even when they are small. Our world is stressful enough right now, changing daily, and our work environment has completely changed. And yet we're getting through it, and we're all doing tons and tons of things. So many more things, so many different things. And I think it's so important that we celebrate the good things that we're doing and the way that we're pushing through and getting things done. So we need to celebrate accomplishments. Don't minimize accomplishments, though. You don't need to wait for something big to celebrate. Checking an item off your to-do list is an accomplishment. It's a huge accomplishment. For me, that ding of something off my electronic to-do list is a celebration. Celebrate completion of steps in a bigger process. For example, if you finish a draft of a plan, celebrate. You have completed a step in a bigger process. And your celebration doesn't have to be something huge, but look for things to celebrate and small ways to celebrate them. In terms of celebrating, don't forget to celebrate the accomplishments of others. So take a few minutes out of your day to say thank you, to send someone an email or a chat, to acknowledge the work of others, especially during these very trying times. You should also take the time to share accomplishments. So sharing your own accomplishments, again, they don't have to be huge. Sharing small accomplishments with people and sharing the accomplishments of others. We really could all use a bit more celebration right now. And my number 6 activity that I think can improve your success as you are working from home, and I feel like this is probably one of the most important ones, and that is to remember that stuff happens and we just need to roll with it. There are so many things changing, and let's face it, we're not in control. We have to be realistic and accept it. We're using technology you've never used before. You're using technology in new ways. We're working in new ways. We're doing different things, and we just need to go with that. Everyone is facing these same challenges as we move to working remotely. So I think an really important thing to remember when we're trying to be successful working from home is not to freak out. You need to ask for help when you need it, and you need to give help to others who need it. It's really important, I believe, to share when things aren't going well or as expected. We can't be successful if we don't talk about our challenges and the things that we need help with. And painting a rosy picture does not contribute to success. Being open and honest and knowing the situation we're in is what contributes to success. I believe people are truly kind and patient. And we all know that we are in this situation together. So when you come upon challenges, my recommendation to you is to just take a breath. If it's something you're trying to do from a tech point, try it again. If you're dealing with something, make sure you ask for help when you need it. So just to recap My 6 ideas of activities that can your success from working when working at home is number 1, create a balanced daily schedule. Figure out what you are going to do every day and focus just on what you need to do for that day. But make sure that you are balancing the fact that your home and work have now been combined. Number 2, use technology to manage your work. So like I said, calendar, task lists, those are all great pieces of technology to help you manage getting your work done. And make sure that you're scheduling that time to get the things done that you need to using your technology. Number 3, make sure that you are staying connected with your workplace and with your coworkers. Find ways to connect, both formally as well as informally. We have these connection technologies available to us, so use them to connect as much as possible. Number 4, set expectations with everyone. So set expectations with individuals in your workplace. Make sure you are setting realistic expectations, and then you can successfully deliver on them. Number 5, celebrate accomplishments. Celebrate your own, those of others, even when they're small. Take a few minutes to celebrate. And then, like I said, I think the most important thing for success is to just recognize that stuff is going to happen. We just have to roll with it. So I want to thank you for your time today and leave you with a parting thought to just remember that what you're feeling is normal and you're not alone in this. Just like the new work and the new ways of working that come from working remotely, we'll be successful in new ways, and we will have opportunities to demonstrate and acknowledge the success in new ways, both our own success and the success of others. So thanks again for your time, and I hope you found this helpful.
Okay, well, thank you, Marcy, for sharing your insight to help us be more successful while we're working remotely. And thank you to everyone who joined us today. Please be sure to check our website at www.cpshr.us/about/events/webinars for the slide deck and recording. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.